It was 1929. America was booming. Then, it all came crashing down. The stock market plummeted, fortunes vanished overnight. The American dream turned into a nightmare. The Great Depression had begun, gripping the nation with fear and uncertainty. Unemployment soared. Lines for bread and soup kitchens stretched for blocks. Families lost their homes, forced to live in shantytowns called Hoovervilles. Children went hungry. The elderly lost their life savings. The country was desperate for a solution, for a leader to guide them out of the darkness. Roosevelt's New Deal was a bold experiment in government intervention. It put people back to work and provided a safety net for the vulnerable. Critics called it socialism, but for millions, it was a lifeline. The New Deal fundamentally changed the relationship between the American people and their government. It was the difference between hope and despair. The Great Depression exposed the flaws of laissez-faire capitalism. The crisis revealed that the invisible hand of the market was not enough. The Dust Bowl compounded the crisis, forcing farmers to abandon their homes. The traditional American spirit of rugged individualism seemed inadequate in the face of such systemic devastation. Franklin Delano Roosevelt understood the need for a radical departure from past policies. The New Deal was a fundamental shift in the role of government. Programs like the CCC and WPA put millions to work on conservation and construction projects. The Tennessee Valley Authority revitalized the impoverished Tennessee River Valley. The New Deal brought electricity, jobs, and hope to rural communities. The New Deal faced criticism from conservative businessmen and politicians. They argued it threatened individual liberty and economic freedom. However, some critics believed the New Deal didn't go far enough, calling for more radical solutions. The debate highlighted the growing dissatisfaction with the status quo and the desire for fundamental change. The Tennessee Valley Authority harnessed the power of the Tennessee River. It transformed the region with dams and power plants, creating jobs and bringing electricity. The TVA's impact extended beyond economics, bringing hope to a region mired in poverty. It established schools, libraries, and health clinics, investing in human capital. The TVA became a model for regional development projects worldwide. The CCC and WPA addressed unemployment by putting millions back to work. The CCC targeted young men for conservation projects, leaving a legacy on national parks. The WPA employed Americans in construction, arts, and cultural projects. These programs provided jobs, purpose, and cultural enrichment during economic hardship. The CCC and WPA demonstrated the power of government to improve lives. The Social Security Act of 1935 created a safety net for older Americans. It provided a monthly income for retired workers, ensuring dignity and independence. Social Security also offered benefits for the disabled, widows, and orphans. The program lifted millions of elderly Americans out of poverty. Social Security became a cornerstone of the American social contract. The Roosevelt administration empowered workers with the National Labor Relations Act. The Wagner Act guaranteed the right to organize, bargain, and strike. The Fair Labor Standards Act established a minimum wage and outlawed child labor. These reforms created a more just and equitable society. The New Deal's legacy for labor endured for decades. The Social Security Act of 1935 established unemployment insurance. It provided income for workers who lost their jobs, helping them meet basic needs. The program was funded through payroll taxes, creating a safety net. Unemployment insurance stabilized the economy during recessions. It marked a significant shift in the relationship between government and individuals. A New Deal for housing. The Great Depression exposed America's inadequate housing, especially in urban areas. Slums were overcrowded, unsanitary, and substandard. Roosevelt's New Deal aimed to improve housing and expand homeownership. The FHA, established in 1934, introduced government-backed mortgages. These made home ownership accessible to millions. The FHA's program encouraged banks to lend, boosting home construction. The USHA, created in 1937, provided affordable housing for low-income families. It financed large-scale public housing projects. These projects provided a safety net during the Depression. The New Deal transformed the American landscape, promoting homeownership and improving housing standards. It reflected the belief that safe, affordable housing is a fundamental right. The power of the people. Rural electrification. In the early 20th century, electricity remained a distant dream for most rural Americans. Cities buzzed with electricity, while rural communities languished in darkness. The Roosevelt administration made rural electrification a key New Deal component. The Rural Electrification Administration, established in 1935, provided loans and technical assistance. Cooperatives brought electricity to millions of rural homes and farms. The impact was immediate and profound. Electric lights replaced kerosene lamps, extending the day for work and leisure. Electric appliances transformed domestic life, easing household chores. Farmers used electric pumps for irrigation, increasing crop yields. Rural electrification spurred economic development, attracting new businesses. The REA helped bridge the gap between urban and rural America. Rural electrification is a testament to the power of collective action. Section 4. A transformative legacy, the enduring impact of the New Deal. The New Deal left an enduring legacy on American society. It established the expectation that the government should protect the vulnerable and promote the common good. Programs like Social Security and unemployment insurance became cornerstones of the American social safety net. The New Deal also left an indelible mark on the American landscape. Dams, bridges, schools, and hospitals constructed by New Deal programs stand as tangible reminders of an era of progress. The New Deal's legacy is a testament to the enduring power of hope and action. Section 1. A Nation Divided, the New Deal Under Fire. The New Deal, while widely popular among working-class Americans who benefited from its programs, faced fierce opposition from powerful segments of society. Conservative businessmen, wealthy industrialists, and their allies in Congress viewed Roosevelt's policies with a mixture of suspicion, disdain, and outright hostility. They saw the New Deal's expansion of government power, its embrace of social welfare programs, and its support for organized labor as a dangerous departure from traditional American values of individualism, self-reliance, and limited government. Newspapers owned by these wealthy elites published scathing editorials denouncing Roosevelt as a socialist, a radical, even a traitor to his class. They warned that the New Deal would lead America down the road to economic ruin, stifling innovation, discouraging investment, and ultimately transforming the nation into a socialist state. Radio commentators, many of them sponsored by large corporations, echoed these dire warnings, painting a picture of a government run amok, encroaching on individual liberties, and undermining the free enterprise system that had made America great. The opposition to the New Deal was not confined to the realm of rhetoric and propaganda. Business groups filed lawsuits challenging the constitutionality of New Deal programs, arguing that they exceeded the federal government's authority. The Supreme Court, dominated by conservative justices, struck down several key pieces of New Deal legislation, including the National Industrial Recovery Act and the Agricultural Adjustment Act, delivering a major setback to Roosevelt's agenda. Section 2. Charges of Socialism, the Politics of Fear. The charge of socialism became a potent weapon in the hands of New Deal opponents. The word itself conjured up images of totalitarian regimes, government control over every aspect of life, and the abolition of private property. While the New Deal's programs bore little resemblance to true socialism, the label stuck, particularly among those who felt threatened by the Roosevelt administration's efforts to redistribute wealth, empower labor unions, and regulate business practices. The fear of socialism was particularly acute in the aftermath of the Russian Revolution and the rise of communist regimes in Europe. The specter of communism, with its emphasis on class struggle and revolutionary upheaval, loomed large in the American imagination. New Deal opponents skillfully exploited these fears, portraying Roosevelt's reforms as a slippery slope toward communism. They argued that every government program, every regulation, every concession to labor unions brought America one step closer to embracing a totalitarian ideology fundamentally at odds with American values. The reality, of course, was far more nuanced. Roosevelt was no socialist revolutionary. He was a pragmatic politician who believed in capitalism but also recognized the need for government intervention to address market failures and social ills. The New Deal was not an attempt to overthrow the American system, but rather to save it from itself, to restore faith in capitalism by making it more equitable and humane. Despite the fierce opposition it faced, the New Deal left an indelible mark on American society. Its programs provided a lifeline to millions of Americans struggling to survive the Great Depression, putting people back to work, providing a safety net for the most vulnerable, and restoring hope in a time of despair. The New Deal also fundamentally altered the relationship between the government and its citizens, establishing the expectation that the government had a role to play in promoting economic security, protecting workers' rights, and ensuring a basic level of social welfare for all. The New Deal's legacy continues to be debated today. Conservatives argue that it expanded government power too far, stifled free enterprise, and created a culture of dependency. Liberals counter that the New Deal saved capitalism from itself, restored faith in government, and laid the foundation for a more just and equitable society. The truth, as is often the case, lies somewhere in between. The New Deal was not a perfect solution, nor was it without its flaws. But it was a bold experiment in government activism, a testament to the belief that government at its best can be a force for good. The streets of America tell a different story now. The desolate landscapes of the Dust Bowl have long since bloomed again. The breadlines and Hoovervilles exist only in grainy photographs and newsreels. The America we know today is a product of the bold choices made during the Great Depression. America turned towards government during its most severe economic crisis. The New Deal stands as a testament to the power of government to uplift the downtrodden, to provide a safety net for the vulnerable and steer a nation back from the brink of despair. Yet, the legacy of the New Deal is not without its detractors. Even today, the word socialism is often used as a pejorative in American political discourse, a way to discredit any policy that involves government intervention in the economy or expansion of social welfare programs. The debate over the proper role of government in American life, a debate that raged during the New Deal era, continues to this day, often with the same fervor and ideological entrenchment. Some argue that the New Deal's expansion of government power was a dangerous overreach, creating a bloated bureaucracy, stifling individual initiative, and fostering a culture of dependency. They point to the national debt, the growth of entitlement programs, and the increasing complexity of government regulations as evidence of the New Deal's unintended consequences. They advocate for a return to the principles of limited government, individual responsibility, and free markets, arguing that these are the true engines of prosperity and opportunity. Others maintain that the New Deal's legacy is one of progress and social justice, that its programs lifted millions out of poverty, expanded access to healthcare, education, and housing, and created a more equitable society. They argue that the government has a moral obligation to provide a safety net for the vulnerable, to regulate markets in the public interest, and to ensure that the benefits of economic growth are shared by all Americans, not just the privileged few. The lessons of the New Deal are not confined to the history books. They resonate deeply in our own time, as we grapple with challenges that, while different in nature, are no less daunting than those faced by Americans during the Great Depression. Economic inequality, climate change, healthcare costs, access to education. These are just some of the issues that demand our attention, our ingenuity, and our collective will to find solutions. The New Deal reminds us that we are not powerless in the face of adversity, that government, at its best, can be a powerful instrument for positive change, and that we, the people, have a voice in shaping our future. It teaches us that progress is often the result of bold experimentation, of a willingness to challenge the status quo, and of a belief that together, we can overcome even the most formidable obstacles. As we navigate the complexities of the 21st century, let us remember the lessons of the New Deal, not with a sense of nostalgia for a bygone era, but with a renewed commitment to the ideals that animated that era. A belief in the power of collective action, a commitment to social justice, and a recognition that we are all in this together. The challenges we face may be different, but the fundamental question remains the same. What kind of society do we want to create for ourselves and for generations to come?